At the end of the day, guys, I'm just a simple man trying to make a living.
God was twitty out of the crawl. Little west of Calvary, that's the place we pray.
Everything. She likes that. She likes that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Calling out from the wilderness. A cry in the wilderness.
Is that good?
Hey, what's up, guys? Back in the workshop here today, and full tilt at the leatherwork again. Been at it for a couple days here now, trying to get some work done. And let me show you guys what I've got going on over here. As you can see, lots of sheaves here, still a few more in glue up, but they are for a whole set of knives, a batch I'm just finishing up here. Check out this Santoku. Isn't that a beautiful configuration? This was ordered, oh that's sharp, holy mackerel. This was ordered with a matching bushcraft tuckamore. Matching handles. Really like it. So we have sheaths going on for those. We have another tuckamore here with camo linen micarta. This is beautiful stuff. And what's another? This one's quite different. This is a custom pattern for a guy in the US. Someone that I've made, I think maybe a couple knives, one or two knives for before. But he wanted a knife specifically for woods cooking, so that's what I've designed here. I've done a camp cook knife before, which was a raven pattern I did a long time ago. This is sort of based off of that slightly, but I've changed the blade shape a little bit. And yeah, it's gonna be nice and thin, nice high flat grind there, so that's gonna perform really well. And we've got this nice buckskin, Diamond scales, black phenolic pins. Just look how that Diamond polishes up. Really handsome. Just really happy with this piece. And a couple more bake apples here. I don't think I've ever done a batch of knives since the bake apple came out. I don't think I've ever done a batch of knives since then that didn't have at least one bake apple in it. These are a couple custom orders there now. This one has a stabilized burl, and this one a blue micarta. Both real nice. Now as for the leatherwork, here are my standard bake apple sheaths in the making. This is the belt style. And then here is the tuckamore pattern, which I really like, this nice cove design here. I really enjoy this template. It's a great looking sheath when it's done, and we run our stitch along with this. But this is just glued up here now with our welt. Of course we have to rivet the belt loop on beforehand, but isn't that beautiful leather? Now some of you guys might be wondering why I've been a little more absent on YouTube lately, and it's because I've been spending a lot of time working on new merch. You guys that have been checking out the web store, and I still see that there's a fair bit of traffic there, and there's people always signing up there for the newsletter. That's KyleNoseworthy.com if you want to check that out. You might have noticed if you've been there recently that the online store, which I released last summer, is empty. And that's because I've been working on building a new merch line, building things up, and that's what I'm working on here. Some new designs. I've been playing with, experimenting with a lot of styles. You probably saw the Can Knives t-shirt. This isn't one, but in my last leatherworking video. But come have a look at what I'm working on here. So we have a whole bunch of new hat patches. I'm experimenting with a different style and a different color. A little lighter, so it looks a little cleaner, a little brighter on the hats. We have a whole bunch of new hats coming, options and colors, which I'm really excited for. These were just dyed this morning, so they're out still sort of drying. And we have a first run here of Can Knives keychains. So these will be on the site as well. Be on the lookout. Nice quality, actual real vegetan leather here. Dip dyed, Can Knives, laser engraved on both sides. These are going to be available. Like I said, this is the first run right here. So sort of the experimental run, but working on different things. Pricing for these. So like I said, keychains, new hats. We're going to have custom t-shirts. We're going to have hoodies. I think we're going to have the works. So really, really excited for the launch, and that's going to come up real soon. I don't have the date picked out yet. Still working on pricing and sorts of things like that, but make sure you stay tuned for that. Now comes the stage in the leather work that a lot of you guys really enjoyed on that belt video, and that is using that stitch groover. I have to admit, I still really, really enjoy it as well. So just a little closer look from last time. You have this little bit here which is replaceable. You notice there's a hole drilled through there, all the way through, but on the front side, you can see there that bevel that tapers into the hole, so that when you drag the piece of leather, you actually have kind of a scoop edge, kind of like a hook knife, and that scoop edge is going to take out a little small strip of leather, and it's going to pass right through that hole. And that hole is really important. You'll especially know if the hole plugs up. You will not be able to pull it through the leather like this and get that nice cut, because there's no way, there's no where for that little string of leather to go. So you have to have that little hole there in the front. It's very important. If it's nice and sharp and crispy, you get a real nice sharp line like that. And that means when we mark and drill for our stitches, first of all, it means our stitch is going to fall into that trench, and you'll have a real nice straight stitch. And it also means that your stitching will sit below the surface. If your stitching is sitting just flat on the surface, it's a lot more likely to get nicked by trees and stuff, or to get friction rubbed out and get breaks in your stitching and your sheath starts breaking down. By having them sit below the surface in a trench like this, it means it'll very rarely take any scratches or scuffs. Your stitching will stay tip-top shape for a lot longer. Let's run one in some dyed leather here. Look at that strand. Now, as for all this merch, or these pieces here drying beside me, I was talking about launching a merch line, which I did last year, and it was successful, and I really liked it. I sort of did it in a very small degree last year. I think mugs, which I still have, if you're looking at picking up a mug. I did mugs, hats. I believe that's all I did in terms of merch. Oh, and leather straps, which are still available as well. But the reason for those things is basically two-pronged. First off, to have a branded product out there in the world. Every hat that sells, every t-shirt that sells with Can Knives across the front is a little walking billboard, which is something that has to be factored in when I'm pricing out the value of these items. Is it's not just the profit you make from selling an item like this. Even some of the items I've made and sold, I've barely made any profit, especially once you factor in the time that it has taken to make it. But I have to try to quantify the value, which is very difficult to do. Try to put a number on the value of having that little walking billboard out there. And if you're someone that's running a business yourself, it's very important to get your name out there. So every keychain that gets laid down on a desk at work that says K&N Knives on it is another chance. It's another case of someone learning about K&N Knives, and it's another opportunity to potentially make a sale. So the marketing aspect is one reason for merch. And a second aspect, and this has kind of been ever more important lately, is the idea of passive income. If you're a small business owner and you're doing work like I'm doing here, you'll find out very quickly that there's only a certain amount of time you have, a certain amount of work time you have to make money. Now, my knives do sell for a good rate, and I do sell plenty of knives. I'm really appreciative of the support, and like as you can see, I have a batch going out here now. But my ability to make money from that is solely dependent on how fast I can make knives, and there's only so fast that you can make a quality knife. So if you do not have, or let me stop for a second. When it comes to making knives like that, that would be considered active income. I have to physically do the work to make the money, and every hour I put in is more money made. That's active income. What I'm looking to add right now, and what I desperately need to add, is more passive income streams. Now, one easy way to do that right now is through merchandise, because it doesn't take a whole lot of work. It takes a little bit of a monetary investment, capital investment, but it doesn't take a whole lot of work, and I can be making money without actually putting in a lot of physical labor like I am now. Because if all I ever did was make knives, and suppose every single day I worked an 8-hour, let's just take a baseline. Suppose that I worked 40 hours a week, 8-hour days, standard work week, making knives. Except for accounting maybe the value of my name as a maker going up, increasing the value of the knife, I'm tapped out on what I can earn in terms of a weekly salary, monthly, yearly. That's it. My active income. I can only work so many hours. Whatever those hours are worth, that's it. So what I need to line up, and what I suggest some of you guys do as well, is line up more passive income streams. Now, on a bigger scale, a good like passive income strategy could be, and this is a big one lately, is real estate. Like rental properties, or even some people flipping properties but having contractors do the work. But rental properties are a big one, because except for the capital investment, sort of like having a merch line here, except on a different scale, except for the initial investment, the property just sits there earning revenue. And whether you have one rental property or you have 5 rental properties, it's not really that much more work, but as you can tell, a rental income multiplied by 5 really impacts how much money you're making in a month and on a yearly basis. So it's really important for me over time to invest in those passive income strategies, and I really appreciate you guys supporting my ventures like this. Knife making, of course, is the kind of pinpoint of all I'm doing here, but having these sorts of streams, having this way to market and get my name out there so I can make more knives and grow sort of that production, and also to have this passive income source there on the side is very helpful in terms of growing. I don't want to always be stuck in the same place. I don't want to 30 years from now, because I'm only a young guy, I don't want to 30 years from now still be punching 100 hours a week, grinding steel and just making enough money to live. I want to grow that into other income sources and stuff. So I'm with Leatherwork.